Yeah, I know.
So they-
Well, she had her carpet get painted last year.
So if that doesn't work.
Calling the Southeast Polk Board of Education meeting to order for November 2nd at 5:30 PM. Karen?
Lori,
Yes,
Rick,
Here.
Bridget,
here.
Tom, Brett,
Here.
Chad,
Here.
Whitney,
Bridget. Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda. There's no changes to the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Karen.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes. Okay, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Powell, would you please read the district vision and mission?
I'd love to. Southeast Polk will learn, lead, and live. Success for college, career, and civic life. Engage all students in learning a challenging curriculum delivered through quality instruction.
Thank you. All right, at this time, it's time for public comments. Is there anyone out there that wishes to make public comments? Seeing none, we will move forward to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, Chad, Bridget, thank you. Any comments, questions? Karen?
Bridget,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Moving on to new and old business. Certified annual report corrective action plan. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Karen?
Brett,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes. All right, moving on to item B, we need to set a public hearing for the 24-25 academic calendar. Can I get a motion, please, for November 16th?
I move that we hold a public hearing on November 16th, 2023 to discuss the academic school calendar for the 2024-25 school year.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Karen?
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to item C, the 2023 IASB Delegate Assembly Representative. And I've asked Mr. Powell to be our delegate representative since he's not up for re-election this season. So can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions, comments? Karen?
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
All right, moving on to the second read of the board policies. Item D, can I get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the policies as listed in this second read.
In a second,
Second.
thank you. Any questions or comments on the second read? Okay, Karen?
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes. All right, section 3, topics for discussion. We're moving on to item A, certified enrollment update.
This will be the quickest of the topic for discussion. The statewide data is not complete yet. We were overly optimistic to be able to talk about it tonight. Hopefully by the meeting on the 16th, we'll have that and be able to talk in more detail. You do have our students in seats updated enrollment information at your seat.
Very good. All right, item B, the 24-25 academic calendar.
Good evening, board and district administration. Nathan Bala, honored to be the chair of the calendar committee for the district. The calendar committee met earlier this week and talked about the upcoming school year, so the 24-25 school year. Just wanted to make note of a couple things as you have the most recent hot off the press version in front of you. The one that you maybe first were provided had some corrections that we needed to make, just some minor things. So the one in front of you is the most updated, but just some things to know that we talked about up front before we started our work and looking at the calendar. The start date is still August 23rd. That falls on a Friday for next school year. So the first day of school will be a Friday, which kind of sets a chain of things from there. Also, winter break is longer, which I think most people are probably okay with, due to Christmas falls on a Wednesday. So Christmas breaks a little bit, or excuse me, winter breaks a little bit longer than it probably has been in previous years. We end on May 28th. That is a Wednesday, and that would be 1,094.5 hours for students, or 179 total school days. So about what we've been on the calendar the last few years. The date of graduation, so the actual ceremony, is kind of up in the air, and Mr. Pettit has been in contact with Drake University to see when we can get the NAP Center. If there's any questions on that, he said he'd be happy to speak about that tonight. But the seniors' last day would be on Tuesday, May 20th. There's just a law that says seniors can be done 30.5 hours before the last day of school. So that would equate to that. So as you know, there are several laws in place that kind of dictate what the school calendar can be. And so this calendar falls in line with all of those things. So those are just some kind of things that we talked about with the committee, and which is made up of representatives from CPIA and several administrators and Dr. Latham as well when we put this together. So what questions do you have?
What's the first day? The 22nd is the first day we can legally start?
23rd. State law says August 23rd is the
Is that what
first day
okay.
students can start.
So that would explain the Friday.
Yes. Yep.
I knew it was after the 20th because that's my son's birthday. I knew we wouldn't start on that day because that's celebration of him, but
Yeah. All right.
Forever and ever.
forever and ever.
Just appreciate all the hard work your committee does.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that feedback. I'll pass that along. You know, we know what we have to do each year when we meet, and we try, and there's just a lot of moving parts and variables to this, and we try to make it work so it's works for our students, the families that we serve, and of course our staff as well. We try and come up with a calendar that works for everybody.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. All right, moving on to item C, fiscal year 25 high school program of studies.
Go to the other. Good evening, board. As Mr. Kurth pulls that up. The full registration guide was also attached, but this is the Cliff Notes version. What I thought I would do is kind of go through this Cliff Notes version, kind of pause after each kind of section. If there's any questions about like art, for example, the first section, we could go through those and then kind of move on to the next. This registration guide, there's a difference because moving forward with next year, ninth grade will be at the junior high. So some of our courses in that registration guide will be offered only at the high school. Some will be offered in both buildings, and a few will only be offered in the junior high at the ninth grade building. And that's what those two notes or marks there kind of at the beginning are. So as you go through the full guide and see those, that's something to pay attention to. In art, there really isn't any changes. It's more of a name change. We have a class right now called Cultural Crafts. It's really not cultural and it's really not crafty. It's more art. So it's now going to be a standalone kind of an intro to art, survey of art class that would fulfill our fine arts requirement. Commercial art has been a course that we've taught forever. It's a year-long course. We're going to teach it as actually 2 semester courses called Graphic Design 1 and Graphic Design 2. Most kids will probably still take both semesters, but again, graphic design probably matches what we do as opposed to commercial art. And then the art seminar class is going to be another course that was a year-long class. We're going to break it into 2 semester-long classes. Any questions on art?
So for I guess back to the notation with the asterisk or the hat,
Call it a carrot, maybe?
carrot. Yeah.
hat.
So like I'm looking at art. So intro to art, that's only at the junior high.
Correct.
And then art 1 and art 2 will be only at the high school.
Art 1 and art 2 would be at both
Or at
buildings.
both buildings. Okay.
Right. So really art 1 and art 2 is the pathway. That's the sequence to get to more advanced art classes. We really have 2 standalone art classes that are on the pathway. One of them would be now called Intro to Art. We'll offer that at the 9th grade building. The other one is more of a 3D design or pottery ceramics class. We teach that class at the high school. It's just requires more materials, more space, wheels, a bunch of stuff. So that's the course that we will offer as the standalone, not in the sequence. For kids that are taking a class to meet the requirement.
And there's somebody who was like, they were at the high school building, they're 10th grader and they need to take or want to take intro to art or one of those. Is there, I guess, how much back and forth will there be with students?
Very limited. I mean, the plan would be is that if you're a student at the high school and you want to take an art class to satisfy your fine arts requirement, then really, and you don't want to go into the sequence, the commercial art would be the option.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to business. We had a course previously called Intro to Video Game Design. We're bringing it back with a slightly new name, just called Game Design. Really, it's on our computer science sequence. We used to have 2 different AP computer sciences classes. This year, we just have 1. We did away with the Intro to Video Game Design. We've decided that we think we need to bring another experience back that's not at the AP level. So that's what that course is. So again, it's just a return course. Okay. Industrial tech at the 9th grade building or at the junior high, there's going to be a course called Intro to the Trades. That will be the industrial tech option for students in that building. That will not be offered at the 10th through 12th grade building. It will be more our traditional sequences of woods, welding, metals, auto, that type of stuff. Then Intro to Apprenticeship is a course we currently offer. It was kind of piloted last year, but it wasn't in the registration guide. So it's got an official course description this year and is in the registration guide. And then our electronics class, we're renaming because it does have a residential wiring component. And with the new Skills Trade Center, that just makes more sense. So we're going to rename it as electronics/residential wiring. Any questions on industrial tech? Okay. Language arts, pretty simple. We right now have 1 drama course. It's called Intro to Drama. Previously, we've only had 1 section. A couple years ago, we didn't even have enough course requests to offer it. I think this year we have 2 sections. So we've just got more interested in that area. So we're trying to offer a second course, pure elective. kind of looking to see, could that also maybe satisfy the fine arts requirement instead of just a language arts requirement? I don't know if it will matter for that many kids, because a lot of kids that are taking our advanced drama are also into music. So a lot of them have some of those courses already. But really, it's a second drama course for our kids that are expressing more interest than what they previously expressed in that area. Questions on that? Okay. Math, we have had two different levels of our three kind of core math classes: algebra, geometry, algebra 2. This year, we are only having one combined level of algebra. We no longer have algebra A and algebra B. We just have one course called algebra. We're having a lot of success in that. We're going to kind of parallel that same concept. This year, we have two geometry classes, a geometry A and a geometry B. And next year, we're just going to have one combined geometry option. That really falls in sequence with 8th grade math. There isn't an 8th grade A and an 8th grade B. It's just one 8th grade class. So really, at the course level, the first option would be at the algebra 2 moving forward, because both of those courses lead to different pathways. The algebra 2A course is more of a course for students that are going to go on maybe in a non-STEM related field. And then the algebra 2B would be more of a STEM related. So we're currently doing that right now in algebra. We're going to do that in geometry next year. In physical education, kind of excited about this next one. That's an introduction to officiating course. The Iowa High School Athletic Association has partnered with the Girls Union. They kind of really have, some targeted, trying to really increase the number of officials in all sports. So they've got a kind of a blended curriculum where it kind of starts off as as something that you would take for all types of officiating. And then there's kind of different tracks within that. So if you wanted to officiate football, you do these things. If you wanted to officiate volleyball, you do these other things. But excited about that because we could get kids certified, maybe get them into youth sports from officiating, maybe officiate some of our lower level sports as well. There's several schools throughout the state that are kind of creating this. So I think this is going to be a really, really cool thing for us. And then the other one was lifeguarding. It's really not a change. It's just the way we're going to schedule it. They benefit from a full 90-minute class as opposed to a skinny in our block system on a 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So we would bring this to a quarter-long class for 90 minutes every other day instead of a semester-long class. It just allows us to be more productive during the time. Questions on PE?
I think I'd be great official teacher, officiating.
Guest
I'm really
speaker.
good at home.
Guest speaker. Right. In science, we're no longer going to offer general chemistry. Right now, we have 3 levels of chemistry. We have general chemistry, chemistry, and advanced chemistry. Our general chemistry and chemistry class cover the exact same standards and give the exact same assessments. There's really no difference between those two courses other than the students that choose to take them. There's no more supports in our general chemistry. A handful of years back, we kind of revised our curriculum and made them more similar. So now we're questioning why we have 2 courses that do the same thing. Just kind of like that same concept with the geometry A and B.
So was general chemistry originally like an easier course maybe?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah, it was more applications of chemistry, a long time ago. And I still think by SCED code, it might not even qualify, in the NCAA clearinghouse. But they're doing the same stuff as chemistry. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're no longer going to have that. We'll still have the advanced option, but we will go from 3 options or 3 levels of chemistry to just the 2. Social studies, a new course proposal, history through the media. I think it's going to be an exciting option for students. A lot of times, kids watch movies, they see social media, they see the news. And the question is how accurate is some of that stuff? Especially we're talking about historical World War II, different events. So really what this does is it looks through a series of historical events and how kind of film or social media or news has portrayed that and kind of
historical accuracies or inaccuracies and perceptions and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a really cool elective. I see that being a course very similar to our hippie history course or history of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's an elective. I think it'd be a high interest course for students. So that's what that course is. AP Human Geography right now is a semester long course. I think we're the only school that I know of that teaches that as a semester long course. The College Board recommends that to be a year-long course. Right now, our students take a first semester global studies class, which is the first half of a year-long course, and then go right into the AP Human Geography. So what our kids will do moving forward is just have a year-long AP Human Geography experience, which is the recommendation. Questions on that? And then the last one is a heritage Spanish course. As our EL population grows, we have lots of students that are coming in that are native speakers, but they may not be native speakers that have been going through like a curricular Spanish experience. So what we do right now is, because students that are heritage speakers can't speak Spanish, a lot of times they go into our upper level Spanish classes, but they don't have maybe the supports and the success rate that we would want. So this would be more of a class that we would work on kind of academic Spanish, take some cultural support needs in place to kind of hopefully provide a more successful pathway into continued academic language. Any questions on that? Any other overarching questions about the registration guide that I didn't just include?
I think they look like good courses. I'm glad that the game design is coming back. Hopefully there's a lot of interest in that. I mean, anything we do to add more computer science options would be great. I mean, that's a field that's going to be around for the future for sure.
Absolutely.
And you have the staff available to teach all of these courses.
Yeah, when it comes to these courses, I do not see any of these courses having a staffing impact. Maybe we would have a couple more kids take an academic class than a study hall, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to tip anything to, requesting more staff to teach these courses.
Yeah, I appreciate the intentionality of all these changes. It seems really well thought out and kind of makes me want to go back to high school to take a couple of them, but I don't really want to do that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the school improvement plans, part 1.
Good evening, board. I'll have our participants kind of redo and I'm gonna not be here, so you guys can. Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah. I think Dr. Hlupnik has often referred this and the next one as one of his favorite evenings, and I would concur on that as well. And it's an opportunity for our schools and the board to dialogue about our improvement plans and what that looks like moving forward. I'll just see if I can remember them all. I'll give them all a chance to introduce themselves as we go through, but we have Clay, 4 Mile, Mitchellville, Willowbrook, junior high, high school tonight. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes. That's how person's started. So what the process that we will use is similar to what we've had in the past. Each building will take 3 to 5 minutes to give kind of a broad overview of their school improvement plan. You've had a chance to take a look at them ahead of time. And then after the brief summary from each building, we will just open it up to a dialogue between school board members and our building leaders and some of our teacher leaders who are here this evening as well. So I'll get out of the way and we'll get a chance for the schools to share. And I'll run the document from back there, but I'm going to turn it over to Clay and they're going to start us off.
Can you hear me? Still working? Yes? Okay. All right. Good evening, Lauren. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. I'm Andrea Bruns. I'm the principal at Clay.
And I'm Annie Poplaki. I'm the instructional coach at Clay.
We're excited to get to share anything about all of the hard work that we're doing at Clay. So we've just highlighted a few. 3 to 5 minutes always goes way too fast. So we'll try to stick within that time. So our enrollment this year, we are right around 674 students. We've got 55 preschoolers within 2 classrooms, AM and PM, and then we have about 619 kindergarten through 5th grade. We added a fifth section of kindergarten this year, so we grew pretty quickly this year.
Yep. So our current staff enrollment, we've got pre-K, 25 K5. We added a special education teacher last year, which was really exciting. We have 3 reading specialists, 2 are full-time, 2 are part-time. This past year, we were able to add a 0.5 SAM, which has been a really good support for our students and staff. We have 5 extended core teachers. I am the instructional coach, 1 ESOL, 1.5 assistants in the office, 4 nutrition, 3 custodial, 27 associates, and Andrew is our leader. So a total of 84 staff.
Just a little bit more about our demographics is our free and reduced lunch this year is 30%. And of the population that we serve, the 35 of our students are English language learners. I think that number is actually a little bit higher, but right around. Yes, 42. I thought that number was a little higher. And then we have right around 14% of our students that we serve have an IEP.
So I won't read through all of our celebrations, even though I would love to, but for the sake of our 3 to 5 minutes. One of the biggest things that we are celebrating currently is that of the 172 students that we have at Clay Elementary who are being progress monitored in the area of reading, 82% of them are showing a positive trend line. And I think that's that's directly related to all of the hard work our teachers have been doing with implementing new reading structures, which we'll get to. This year, we also engaged our teachers in creating data walls. So if you have the pleasure of coming to our building and walking into my office, you'll see we have cards with every student's name, their faces, and all of their most relevant data. And we're using those to help us really drive our instruction and really getting to like humanize the students that we're working with, which has been really powerful to see. We have our kindergarten through 3rd grade teachers are all implementing the structured literacy curriculum known as UFly. And that's in response to our data. And so we have been seeing, like I said, our 172 of our students, 82% of those are showing that positive trend line, and that's directly related to that. We've also created a master schedule in order to increase our communication among our grade level teachers and our specialists. We've been doing lots with Leader and Me. This is our, I think, third year of implementation with that. And so we've been seeing lots of increased leadership opportunities for students. They do our announcements, they do safety patrol. And so those are the biggest celebrations so far.
All right. Mindful of time. So then finally into our goals. Our goals actually this year are the same as last year. We wanted to keep those at 100%. All of our 100% of our kids K5 are going to meet our FAST benchmarks. By the end of the year, we realize it's a lofty goal, but when we say all of our students, we truly mean all of our students. We believe in them, and we are working 1%. To have them grow every single day. And so when we mean all, we say all, and we want that to be reflected in our goals. So we are continuing to work on those explicit systemic routines, really focusing on the phonemic awareness and syllable types, which are those foundational pieces of early literacy. We have had the privilege to work really closely with Carrie Bernstein this year and get to implement those resources throughout our data meetings and throughout our PLCs. Our teachers are feeling really, really strong about their knowledge and their literacy instruction. And it's that positive morale that they're feeling with that they're feeling confident in what they're teaching is really showing in our kids, and it's showing in our data. So it's really exciting to get to empower our teachers with a systemic resource that's research driven and just to get to show how powerful that is. We are also continuing to use fall, winter, and fast screeners, along with our diagnostics that we give to all of our students that don't meet benchmark. We have an hour of structured PLC weekly data meeting conversations with each one of our PLCs that Annie and I both attend, and Carrie attends a lot of times with us as well. We focused really hard on our small group instruction this year. So really truly diving down deep into the data to make sure that all of our students, all 674 of them, are getting what they truly need and designing that instruction around their needs. And all of that is focused on the science of literacy. We also began working really hard on our MTSS process, our problem solving process last year. And so we're in year 2 of really getting to implement that and problem solve with teachers to continue to focus on students and to target that instruction that really is going to support and move our kids. So again, same in math, 100% of all of our kids are going to be proficient on our promise standards that our grade level teachers identify. Again, continuing those explicit systemic routines focused on numeracy, implementing our new iReady curriculum, which our teachers are loving this year, all of the components of it. So thank you for allowing us to adopt that. Seeing a lot of growth in students and a lot of different conversations about math that our kids haven't had the pleasure of getting to engage in before. And then again, really working on that targeted small group instruction within that. So our master schedule really allowed us to hone in on creating and allowing time for all of our students to get and focus on that core instruction, and then allow time for small group instruction, which could be in the classroom, could be special education pullout, it could be reading interventionist or other targeted pullout services to really align and make sure our kids are getting everything that they need and have the time to be able to do that. We're really working hard on routines this year as well within that instruction. Any questions for us?
Again, we'll engage in those after.
Sorry. Thank you so much.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
All right. I'm looking at the clock. So no, that's okay. All right. Mr. Pettit, can you hear me? Am I on?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm Tammy Steenick. I'm the principal at 4 Mile.
I'm Michelle Simpson. I'm the instructional coach.
And thank you for letting us come tonight. I'll start off and just share a few highlights with our enrollment and our staff numbers. Our enrollment preschool numbers have risen. They're up to 50. In K through 5, we are at 440 students for our enrollment. We have added a couple staff members this year. We now have a Title I reading program and a Title I math program. We are very grateful for these supports. It's been going very, very well, and we have more students getting that assistance that they needed. Also this year, our ESOL teacher is now full-time. Jill Brady used to share 4 Mile and some other buildings, but due to our increased EL enrollment, now Jill is there full-time, and we love her and we're very grateful for her, and Michelle will highlight her in just a few minutes. As far as demographics, we have 2 big changes for us. Our free and reduced numbers are increasing quite a bit at 4 Mile pretty quickly. We're up to 36% of our students receiving free and reduced lunch. And the other big change for 4 Mile is that our English learner numbers have increased dramatically. Actually, the day before kids came back to school, we had 4 families come to tour 4 Mile, and it was 4 families with 15 kiddos from Afghanistan. And so that's a new culture that we have not taught before at 4 Mile. So we have been learning a lot this year. So we're celebrating the changes and the diversity, but that comes with some challenges too. And we're adjusting very well, and it's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to share our celebrations.
I'm going to start off with, we had 96% of our families attend our parent-teacher conferences, and this was an increase over the past several years. So we were very proud about that. Also, jump around a little bit. We have our one theme, one team, one dream theme this year. And we just really believe that if we work together, we'll be able to accomplish great things with our students and for our school. And we did, because of the title positions, we did gain a couple of new teachers. We have several new teachers, which is what we're doing for those brand new first year, second year teachers. We're setting up observations in the classrooms with their teammates, their grade level teammates, so that they can go in and observe lessons or classroom management, see instruction. Like Tammy mentioned, our EL population has doubled. And I know you guys have these in front of you, so I'm not going to read them to you. I'm just going to give you little notes about them. But Stephanie Laird and Jill Brady provided an informative PD for us to gain understanding of the culture that these families are bringing. That was new to us, and I know several schools reached out to support us, and we really appreciate that.
We have planned several family engagement nights. We have a Leader in Me night coming up where we're going to demonstrate all the different habits. That's coming up in November. We had a playground celebration in September. Several of you even came, so thank you for coming to that. That was a great turnout. And then we have the landscaping night. We had families, staff, and community members come for that too. So that was awesome. Recently, just last week, we had a Simpson College come and share a day with us. And our kids learned science activities. They learned about pollination and the bones and states of matter. That was a fun day for them. It was broken into 2 half days and the kids loved that. Our collaboration teams, our focus is around math and ELA. We also have our extended core teachers in a vertical team group. STEAM buddies, this one is a fun one. Just last week, we had 2nd graders and 5th graders partner up and they created a rocket to see which one would travel the farthest. And then we had 1st graders and 4th graders partner up and they created a spider web between 2 chairs where they dropped a spider, which was a Unifix cube. They dropped a spider down to see if they could get the spider to land on the web and not land on the floor. So they had to create that together. That was fun for them. We also have been recognized for Project Lead the Way the last several years, which is a national recognition that we're proud of. We've had several grants around our playground and STEAM lab. And the Watchdogs this year we're in our 6th year of that. So just a quick rundown.
Thank you. And then lastly, our goals this year, we do have our goals in the area of literacy and math. Our culture and climate goal focuses on attendance. In all those goal areas this year, though, we have tweaked them a little bit and we're really focusing more on the rate of growth that students are making and not just the percentage of students who are meeting benchmark. And so we have made like goals for every single month in the area of math and literacy where we want kids to be on our formative assessments. And then we go in and we look at that rate of progress. And that's how we celebrate our students. Because all the kids have different starting points, but all of them can grow. And so we've really been working on that mindset. That being said, we have monthly data teams. The teachers meet and talk about that growth. We have vertical collaboration team in which different grade levels get together and talk about instructional practice. We have commitment statements to different routines that we're all committed to doing in math and ELA. And then I think our biggest celebration with our action steps is in the area of attendance. We started this last March. We've really changed our focus. Instead of just, we need you here, it's we want you at school and we're glad you're here. We changed our tardy slips to we're glad you're here slips. After all, if elementary kids are late to school, they did not drive themselves to school. There's another reason why they're late. And so we get to celebrate when they show up and when they're there. We're sharing our attendance data with families on a monthly basis. We have traveling trophies between the grade levels. There's a healthy competition going on for attendance. We're just doing lots of communicative things with the families to get them more involved with attendance. So a lot of celebrations there as well. So that's it for 4 Mile. How close was I? Oh, sorry. All right. Okay, who's next? Well, if it's Mitchellville, I know that I was shorter.
Oh, he knows.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, I'll start then. We're a bit competitive. As far as Mitchellville goes, we have over 240 students this year. We now are 2 sections, pre-K through 5th grade. It's the first year I've been there that we've had a morning section, and that's been fantastic. It's a great addition to our school. As far as all the celebrations go, you're going to notice lots of things where kids that are 97% proficient or above, or 15% growth from last year or from fall to spring. And like Tammy started to mention just a little bit ago, we started, as we got into Leader in Me, we started focusing more on a year's growth as opposed to actual benchmarks. And so a lot of times it gives the kids an absolute fresh start, especially we get a lot of kids who move in and maybe haven't had the same background as where our kids that have been with us from pre-K through 5th are. And so when we set these goals with the year's growth in mind, based off of the interventions, it's a lot more possible for them. And that process has really worked well for us. And you see like our proficiency on ISAS, again, we have multiple scores that are 97, 98%. Again, I'm going to let you guys look at those because you already have those. the things that like I get excited about, like we had a Raise Craze community involvement deal this year where basically our kids came up with ways to serve the community and then the community donated money. And it led to tons of new partnerships. I now have new connections with people in the community and across the state actually who want to donate to us. That has led to one of my own personal missions, which is to build at-home libraries. And so last year I landed a grant to get the book vending machine, and I've already filled it twice. And I have another family wanting to fill it another time for us, plus a book blast starting on Monday. And again, I'm just trying to get literature in our kids' hands. And it's not like this is all like popular titles that kids want. You guys know about the daily dancing, and we've got a Best Buddies program and our teacher and student interactions, and Bennett Comes and the Rams Cafe, where our kids have to actually apply for jobs so that they can serve coffee and drinks and food and all of those things. The Lou is still running strong. It was going today. I'm gonna let Mr. O talk about our goals going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. The first thing that I would want to address as well is the Gallup poll just came out, and it stated that for the second year in a row, our staff believe they were 97% engaged in meaningful work. And to me, that just stems to they're passionate about what they do. They understand the weight that they carry, and the beneficiaries of that are the students. So if we can keep them motivated, all of those skills transfer to our school throughout. And I believe the culture is the foundation of everything that we do. So we have to maintain that. It's similar to a garden. Those weeds are always growing, but we have to make sure that we pull the things that don't work as time is fixed. So as we get into goal setting, just making sure that with time being what it is, we have to prune what doesn't have results, get rid of what doesn't work, and instill more repetitions in what does help us grow. So to look at some of our goals, we started this last year with early reading and fluency. We're going to keep 85% or higher, but we're also, like Blake had mentioned, focused on the growth aspect. And when teachers do set those goals with students, they're tracking them. And within that, it has a high effect size, one of the highest possible out there. And as they see that, and as they're achieving that, we've now tied in the book vending machine as well. They can earn a token and go down and select a book to continue to build their libraries. Within the work that we've done, we started structured literacy with Carrie last year, and it's more of a bridge to what we're doing this year with writing, as it was more based on the components of sounding out, morphology, and now we're creating the bridge to sentence building and structuring a paragraph, as most papers consist of multiple paragraphs. Within that A reading, we're looking at the comprehension piece. We're hoping to have 85% or higher in A reading. With a new math curriculum, we structured it a little bit differently. 85% of students will score a 3 or higher, or essentially they're proficient with their end of the year report card outcomes in mathematics until we have more of a, maybe a district process with that. And then the neat things that we've started here, we get excited about SEL, our social and emotional learning. We are going to have 100% of our students have one-to-one interactions with a staff member, anybody in our building, where we're really hyper-focused on that student and what gifts they offer that are unique to them or different. Because we had a PD here more recently that focused on nature and nurture and how we actually need to nurture our nature. So once we understand what we're born with as gifts, we're able to develop them if we're more aware of them. So our teachers are going to highlight that in combination of our 1200 kindness achievement, Jungle Tiger and Ramsway awards that we highlight as well. And then lastly, our leadership portfolios. Those are going to be things that we support student goal support with, and teachers already have those present. They've used them at conferences to highlight different skills that they may have or their goals that they're setting in the classroom for the year. And then we're just highlighting the best leadership gifts that they may offer, or within even just celebrating the things that they've done. So it's visible, and it's visible for us too, if we need to shine a light on somebody else that potentially hasn't gotten as noticed as we would like.
I don't know that go for tonight, and then we'll move into our secondary buildings after that. So Willowbrook starts with W. We will turn it over to you.
Thank you. My name is George Panache. I'm the principal at Willowbrook. I'll let Annie speak briefly here.
Annie Kenny, instructional coach over at Willowbrook, and that's all you'll hear from me.
One of the deals I have with Annie is that she doesn't have to talk. That's why she shows up. So she'll be here. She'll answer any questions you might have, but she does not wish to speak publicly if she can avoid it. At Willowbrook, we are 550 students strong this year. We're up to 4 sections, kindergarten through 3rd grade. We are still 3 sections in 4th and 5th grade, but we're anticipating that will continue to grow as we move along. We keep adding more housing in our area, more students keep coming in. So it's a good problem to have. We're tight, but we enjoy that. Our motto this year is Rise and Shine Willowbrook. It started with the first day of school. We welcomed kids back with a big celebration out front and music and everybody dancing. And we want to rise those scores and shine the way we know we can shine. That our population is continuing to grow in the same trends we knew they would. Our free and reduced population is up to 57%. We are currently at 47 English language learners. That puts us about 10% of our population. We started as a diverse school. It's something that we've celebrated in my time there and before my time there. You come in and you see the flags of the different countries. You see the maps of where students come from originally. It's something that we take into our hearts. We have a diversity day celebration that we have an outside group that comes in and presents. We'll be doing that again this January. We want students to see those different cultures and see that that's a part of who we are and the world around us. We have some great celebrations. The one I'll add that we just found out this last week is that as an ESSA targeted school, we met our target this year, and we are happy to say in year 2 that we know we have another year of worth of work because it's a 3-year process when you get onto that. But we're happy to say that we've met that target, and we're continuing to make strides in that. We were targeted in the area of special education, and those students proved their mettle in what we asked of them. Other celebrations we have our new social emotional learning path in the school. Some of our teachers went out and got grants to increase our ability to help kids, not just academically, but socially as they get those wiggles out in their day. We're very excited about our U-Fly curriculum. This is our first full year, full implementation, pre-K through 3. And we're seeing great processes that make it so that our work from one grade transfers to the next grade, transfers to the next grade, so it doesn't feel like we're starting over each year. Our PLC processes, we've been reinitiating that work so that we can continue to make sure we're adhering to those principles and providing the strongest instruction possible with the use of all of our staff. And we've changed how we use our leadership team, less as an advisory council and more as support to the teachers. We spend half their time doing directly supportive to teachers. So half their time is doing projects, assisting with things, doing research, assisting teachers one-on-one instead of just meeting and talking about all the things that are going on there. So we feel that that's a better use of their time and a better resource for teachers as we go. We have 4 main goals. We have a literacy goal, which is we're working on that growth and getting kids moving up that line. We know it's that year's worth of growth plus is what we're looking for as we try and close gaps as we move along. Math, same thing. We're trying to continue to keep that growth going the way we have. Math, we've been very successful these last few years. We've been above the state averages on growth all along the way. So we're very proud of that work, but we want it to continue to go. We also have an attendance and a climate and culture goal. Our attendance goal, obviously, with that Rise and Shine, we're trying to make students more engaged. We spend more time focused on the positives of the day and less time focusing on the punitives. So we've initiated helmet stickers for their Chromebooks when they're doing things that we like. We have stamps we put on their hands when they're doing academic things that we like. We're trying to spend more time appreciating their efforts and their work as opposed to trying to correct the things that we don't like to see. And then that goes into our climate and culture goal where we're trying to make those students feel safe, because if they don't feel safe, then they don't have that ability to learn the way we would like. I'm always up to
All right. And now we'll move to our secondary building. We're going to hear from the junior high and the high school. Next, so turn it over to Mr. Davis.
Awesome. Good evening, Mike Daly, Southeast Polk Junior High Principal.
Jenny Reinhardt, Assistant Principal.
We'll get back to Miss Jenny here in just a second. Just want to go through the numbers. You can see them. Our enrollments dropped just a little bit. Some of the bigger classes have gone through our building. We still have one that's decently sized at 8th grade, but our attendance right now is right around that 1,100 mark. The only other thing that I bring up in that section is our demographics. It's interesting. We've been talking with our staff of how our demographics have changed, and that's an awesome thing. We're getting an opportunity to interact with students from different backgrounds, but also we need to realize that how we do things and how we handle things need to change too, because those students are different. Things aren't the same as they were 6-10 years ago. So that's a nice thing to just keep out in front of all of us so we understand our students. With celebrations, you can kind of see that list. I don't need to read it to you. But the one thing that we are excited about, you can see where we had 16 of the perfect scores in writing on last year's ISASP of the 56 that were in the district. Thank you to Mr. Bala, which I think he left. So I'll go ahead and pat him on the back. He's sending us 14 more. So we'll actually have half of the perfect writing scores that happened in the district will be in our building this year. So no pressure. Right? We'll go ahead and move to the goals. I'll talk to our literacy goal first, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Reinhardt. With our literacy goal, you can see where we split that into reading and writing. You'll also see a theme through this where we have priority standards, benchmarks, and ISASP. So there's different areas that we're trying to measure as we go through the year. Our priority standards are measured within the classes, the standards that we're teaching to. The benchmarks are the A reading or the probes or those things that we give in class. And then the ISASP is a thing that happens in April. It's kind of that end of the year. This is what we do at the state level. So you'll see some of the things that we're trying to do move forward. A lot of the focus is working with our students in small group and really using the MTSS process in our classrooms.
All right, so for math, we have kind of the same setup with our priority standards, benchmark, and ISASP scores. I'm going to focus in more on our practices and actions that were taking place. So our teachers are utilizing the building thinking classroom for problem solving, providing questions and prompts and modeling in math, and really connecting back to that real life situation, the fractions, the percentages of target heart rate zones in PE, and all of those connections back to math that happen outside of just the math classroom. And then also moving into our science. Science is a little bit different. Science is only monitored on the ISASP for 8th grade, but looking at our priority standards for 7th and 8th grade. So they've set a goal for themselves, and then as well as our ISASP score for 8th grade, but continuing to use and implement standards reference grading in the classroom, providing that feedback, and more level 2 and 3 common assessments has been the focus of our teachers in the science department.
And last but not least is the climate and culture goal. This is an area that we saw some success last year. It is an area that we've struggled, but we saw some gains in our conditions for learning scores. And so we want to continue to see those scores grow. We have hit a little bit of a stumbling block with the change of legislation. There's certain things that we can't talk to students about or provide surveys regarding until we get that parent approval. And so that's an area that we're still working on, that parent approval to be able to give our students the surveys. But we are able to give them to a section of our students still, and have those conversations with kids that let us know that they're struggling in certain areas.
Thank you, Junior High. And we will wrap up the sharing with our high school.
All right, Steve Pettit, high school principal. You know, our enrollments dropped a little bit. We had a really large graduating class last year. Incoming 8th grade class wasn't as large, but we're still at approximately 2,300 full-time students. Like everyone else is saying, you know, demographics have changed a little bit every year, but that's what our demographics are. Kind of two different blocks. The other block is more just kind of special programs and services that our students receive in the building. When it comes to the celebrations, I think it's a huge celebration. This year, we're implementing standard reference grading in all of our courses. It's kind of been a 3-year phase in. We had a lot of staff dedicate a lot of time to kind of right size that. And how can we provide some flexibility? Because a lot of our courses are significantly different than everybody else's, but the consistency that's needed within a grading practice. So we really worked really hard at that. I presented earlier this year about our AP results. Those were great. You know, our goals are really about classroom performance. You know, a wise woman once said, she's sitting in the back, if we focus on the main thing, then everything else will take care of itself. So kind of focusing on core instruction is really what we're trying to focus on. That's our B- goal. We would like to have 75% of all course grades be at that B- or higher rate. I've done some correlation work between how kids that get B- or higher in their courses do on ISASs, and they are significantly more likely to be proficient than kids that get Cs in courses. Go figure. So we're really trying to focus on that B- goal. You can kind of see there in 21-22 school year, we were 68.6% of our grades were at the B-. Last year was about 72 and a half, somewhere in that range. So that's an improvement. As of today, we're 75.7 for this school year. So again, showing some good growth there. We have a tier 2 intervention goal. We kind of measure that by how kids are getting at least C- in classes. When you go on to the next level, kind of to meet prerequisites, usually you have to get at least a C- in that previous course. So we're kind of saying that's really the minimum level of understanding to be successful in the next course. We're using our tier 2 MTSS program to try to get all of our kids to that range. Our goal last year was for 87% of our course grades to be at the C-. We met that. So this year our goal is for each one of our departments to have 87% of their course grades be at that C- rate. So right now I think we have 10 of our 13 departments that have hit that. So we're doing a really good job there. Our last goal from an academic standpoint is really passing rate. As you graduate high school, you have to pass courses. So as you see in the 21-22 school year, it was 94.4%. We had over a 2% increase in courses that were passed last year. And just to explain that, a 2% increase in passing rates means we had 580 fewer course failures. So 2% doesn't sound like a lot. 580 courses that don't have to be repeated is a significant number. Okay, so that's a goal there. Our MTSS, I've got some data there on how many kids are actually scheduling help sessions in addition to the kids that are already scheduled. So I think that's a program that lots of kids are self-selecting to utilize. We're trying to get more intentional about that, to actually target kids that need to be an MTSS and not just hope they sign up. So I think we're really trying to transition on that piece. I think our main practice that we're focusing on right now is really our data teams protocol. Think about it. You've heard of professional learning communities, probably heard of the 4 critical questions. What do we want students to learn? How do we know if they know it? The third critical question is really the hardest, in my opinion. What do we do if they're not learning? And that's really what we're trying to transition our data teams protocol is what happens, what additional interventions do we provide students when they're not learning at the B- level, at the core instruction level? What can we do in core instruction to reteach, provide reassessment opportunities, and then which kids need more than core instruction? So that's what we're really trying to focus in on as a building. In addition to academic goals, we have an attendance goal. Like everybody else, our goal is for 95% of our kids to come to school every day. Last year, we were at 93%, which is an increase from the year before due to COVID. As of today, our kind of whole day, half day attendance average is 94.1. So we're ticking in the right direction, but we still got lots of work to do when it comes to working on kids that are chronically absent. Yeah.
I'd like to thank all the schools. It's been so wonderful to hear your stories and all of the hard work and those summaries and showing you did the hours that you all spend in making that happen for kids. So thank you for sharing that information. I'm going to open it up to board members for any questions. It can be for the whole group, or if you have specific questions related to a building that was shared earlier, I'll open it up and start that conversation.
Sure, why not? So I guess I got one specific question for Mike. On that survey, what's the number of students that are taking the survey? You got a percentage?
So last year we had everybody take it. Right now, we're about a third of our kids have given us approval.
Only a third?
Yeah.
Is that
so right now? It's a little over a third. We're just over 400.
It just takes time to get them all signed up and
yeah, and we all get emails, and that doesn't look important. So hopefully by the 8th or 10th one, it becomes more important. We'll just get a response.
Well, that was gonna be my next question is what was the percentage last year? Because
We didn't, so the legislature came into effect this summer, so we didn't have to.
Oh, that was this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we've done some things to work our way around that with student voice surveys, so that we gave those during parent-teacher conference week, where teachers were able to get feedback from the kids strictly about the classroom. How do you feel in the classroom? Do you feel comfortable? You know, those kind of things, which didn't step out of the bounds of the requirements of the legislature. So we're still getting student feedback. It's just maybe a little more on the surface level than really digging deep. Yeah.
And I just want to clarify, the Conditions for Learning survey is one of those exempted for parent permission because it's a federally required survey. So they'll have to take it in the spring and the parents opt out. I think I've very few do that. But what the junior high was doing was giving short surveys across the year to monitor progress and interview early on those survey questions. And that's what's impacted.
Well, that's what, I guess, as you were talking through this, it did remind me, I do remember that legislator, but how do you think that's going to impact what we're looking for if we can't get everybody to take it? I mean, that's not gonna do us any good. And I guess how will you react to that?
Yeah, I think we're all friends here, so I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
Our survey is gonna look great because the kids that got back to us, their parents are checking their emails, are vested in their kids' education. So our surveys are gonna probably be twice as good as they were last year. Now, the data we're getting, we've got to take it with a grain of salt and make sure we're still giving attention to the kids that need it, whether we not know it or not yet.
Well, that's always the case, is the parents that show up are the ones that don't really need to show up, respectfully. I mean, there's a few that pound on those kids, that not literally pound on those kids, but well, some do, but so no, I was just curious on that. So and then the question I'll just ask to everybody, and if you want to go down, I don't care who starts it or wherever, but not just so I don't pick on one school, but so when we say we're spending more time on like positive, Mr. Panache brought it up, but I want to hear kind of everybody's thoughts. We spend more time on positive, which is obviously good because that's the PBIS, right? The positive behavioral intervention. That was actually got an acronym right. So obviously spending on positive is good, but how do we, if we're not, and I don't mean to take any words from you, because this is why I'm asking everybody, not just picking on you, but when we say we don't do as much on punitive, that doesn't mean we're not talking to those bad people, but do you think that has an impact on behaviors in classroom when we're focusing only more on the better, and maybe we're letting some of the, because we don't want to seem like it's always negative? Am I making sense, or am I just gibberish now? Are you guys, what the heck's this guy's talking about? But because I think when, yeah, who wants to start? You want to start since you're
I caused the motion, so I might as well start with it.
I'm not answering that question.
When we say we talk about the positives I was starting with were academic positives. We spend a lot of time talking about behaviors, both positively and negatively. You know, we do our PBIS and we grant, in our school, it's dojo points for doing something well. It is, there's a consequence for doing something not so well. There are both sides of that. But we also want to remember that our focus is supposed to be academics as well as those behaviors. We're creating whole children. We're creating people that are ready to walk out in society and do their job and be a part of what we hope is going to be a great future generation. So we need to remember that part of that is academics as well. So those helmet stickers are academic helmet stickers. The stamps we give out are academic stamps. We've always been doing behavior both positively and negatively. I spend a good portion of my day in my tennis shoes running around after behaviors and seeing what's going on within the school to manage those things. I think putting that focus back on learning as well as behaviors instead of just behaviors being the only thing that teacher comments on puts the focus on what school is there for, that academic piece.
Yeah, the helmet thing, I mean, that's like football player getting a tackle, you reward them, and yeah, that stuff's good. And I obviously didn't want it to come out like it's like we're not focusing on the behavioral, negative behavioral, but so I just kind of
have to address both at all times.
Well, I was just gonna add to that, though. Of course, we do have behavior that we don't prefer, right? And we have consequences, but I think the part that we're starting to work on, and we still have room to grow, is the restorative conversations with kids after it's happened. So everybody makes mistakes. Some mistakes are much bigger than others, but like something we're really focusing on at 4 Mile, and I know at the other schools too, is, okay, so yesterday was a big bump. It was a hard day. There were big consequences. Families were called. We had things happen. But then the next day, we try to give them that fresh start. We go in, we restore that relationship. We have a conversation with them like, hey, it was a bad day, but we still believe in you. We know this day will be better. These are the supports that we have in place for you. If you need something, this is who you go to. So I think we still have those behaviors, believe me, but I feel like we're trying to reinforce them, provide the consequences, but then fix that relationship and make sure kids still know we want them there at school. Because sometimes when the negative stuff happens, that quickly changes their attitude about wanting to be there and feeling like they're safe and they can trust the adults. So that's our job in restoring that relationship. So that seems positive, and it might even seem fluffy sometimes, but it's really, really important that we do that, or those behaviors are going to keep coming back if we don't restore the relationships.
I was thinking about all the lines my kids at school could finish. Like when I start, like things like, if you're not going to do the work with your teacher, you're going to do the work with me. Or if you're going to waste their time, I'm going to waste your time, or all the things. But part of that is because I get into the classrooms daily and I've got strong relationships with them and their families. And so I know which families absolutely trust me to do whatever. I still feel like even though we're doing a lot of positive reinforcement and leadership opportunities and things like that, we're pretty traditional in our values. And if they've messed up, I'm with you. Like there's got to be some skills that need to be taught, and then opportunities again. But typically we've got so many things going on that they want to be part of, that their mess ups are pretty brief because they want to get back at it. That's a really short way to answer all that because it's a loaded question. But I guess I can assure you that when necessary, things are being handled.
Yeah, it was a loaded question, but it wasn't meant to be loaded like you think.
Are we good there?
Nobody else wants to touch it.
Okay.
I just want to say too, that we're also trying to take a beat to figure out what is causing these issues, what is causing these big behaviors. And so how can we fully help that child to understand what is it that's making me feel this way? What's making me feel my big emotions? And then having that restorative piece at the end of it. So.
Well, and the teaching component that goes along with it. So if you find yourself in this position next time, what are some, what could we do differently? So it's really just all about restorative practice, but incorporating how do I handle this differently next time? And really, we talk a lot about function of behavior. So it's really trying to get to the root of why are they behaving that way? Is it that they need adult attention? Are they trying to avoid work or tasks? Are they trying to gain peer attention? So really trying to figure out the root of that. And as soon as we can find that, we can typically turn behavior around pretty quickly. So, but just goes back to relationships and knowing our kids and knowing what makes them tick and just making sure that they know that school is a safe place for them.
Rick, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, I made some notes and thank you for being here tonight, all of you. I'll just be quick, and if I. Are you done?
No, that's okay.
Oh, you done?
No, I'm sorry.
If I have something, I'll email you because I don't want to take up your valuable time, but Clay, man, 172 kids on progress monitoring. I know how big that is, an 82% positive trend. That's huge. You're our largest elementary. And, I'm not sure if we give you enough support. I hope we do. I hope we're trending that way. I'm going to email you about, because I'm interested to know how many of the specialists like in PE, art, music, guidance, band, tag, all those, I'll email that to you. 4 Mile, I always count the preschool kids, you know that. So you have 490 kids. That's huge. 96%, you already said it, parent, that's fantastic. I used to spend time in the Des Moines schools where if you saw 1 in 4 families, you were doing great. Your theme, one team, one dream. Wow. The Simpson College thing. I loved your Facebook posts. I noticed they were all girls as they're Do we need to like shove some boys into that?
There were 3 meals. that
Oh,
came
there
with-
were.
but They came with the chemistry department, not.
Oh,
with the
okay,
education.
okay. I
There
see
were
the,
3 guys.
I need to look at the post better. Your family engagements, of course, are well received and your attendance challenges are off the chart. Mitchellville, obviously extreme success. Your posters are obvious. Outstanding success in EMath. 97% staff feels engaged in meaningful work. That's great. 98% of the students have adult to connect with. That's, wow. I never even thought of some of these things. 93% of the students feel physically safe. I guess makes me wonder about the other 7% if I need to do anything to help you, but 93 is great. 100% of your students will have a one-on-one interaction with the staff to highlight their strongest qualities. Man, if you can do all those things in this chart, wow, no wonder you have this teacher of the year. But anyway, Willowbrook, fantastic. What a great school. Again, you have such high enrollment and your staff. I have some questions about, do you have enough? But the 57% of free and reduced lunch, the 10% of English learners, and I'm a former special ed teacher, so 16.2 students on IEPs. Wow. Your support emotional needs in the building initiatives should be commended. Your 4 literacy goals, both all the A, B, C, and D, are tremendous. Your increased communication with parents and families is fantastic. I love your morning readers at the door and all your acknowledgements you have in your high school. I love to visit. The junior high, Mike, tremendous. And Jenny, thank you for everything you do. That 1,105 students is, you know, you're gonna have the biggest transition probably next year. Good luck with that. 64 students on 504 plans. Wow. 166 students in special ed, which is 15%, which is a challenge. Your math exceeds statewide proficiency by 6%. And you're commended for all your extensive goals and practices and actions. Mr. Pettit at the high school, you said you're down to 2,300 students, but to me, you run a small community or small town. So thank you for that. You do it well. Your MTSS program is probably the thing I'm most proud of in our whole district. I think what you do to catch kids up, to give the kids the help they need. At first, I didn't understand it, but you explained it really well to all of us the last few years. And I can't be a bigger believer. I really think maybe all 11 schools should have some form of MTSS because every school has some kids that need to be caught up, probably even the preschoolers. Your 21,878 help sessions of the 1,370 students last year. That's what I'm talking about. You have so many help sessions. And your AP scores, of course, are outstanding. And your course passing rate of 96.5%. Wow. I mean, these are all just things that, as I read through it the last few days and I listened to you tonight, they just jump out. And so thank you to all of you people that are here. It's just great work. Thank you. Okay.
All of these schools do have an MTSS program. It looks maybe a little bit different.
Okay.
But every one of them focuses on MTSS and hopefully helps them.
Thank you.
I just want to say that, you know, at the beginning, you said this is Dirk's biggest favorite night of the year. And sitting here, I have to say it's one of mine. You know, the next one will be the next meeting because we'll get the other half of the district. But it's just so cool to see that all the hard work that everybody in this room and in our schools is doing is paying off every day. And I listen to you all and the passion and the care that you have when you talk about it. It just really makes me proud of our whole district. And I don't know, I get a little choked up at how great we have it here. A lot of individual things for each school that I kind of noted, that you're each doing your own things and having your own accomplishments, but overall just rising to great heights. And I think it's being reflected across the board.
So I want to talk about behaviors because you guys really want to focus on positive behaviors for your students and your staff and everything. But what I notice is when one school's talking, everybody else is highly involved. And I know that you guys for the past few years have been working across the different schools and up and down, and I can really see that. And it's very impressive. And my son's been in the district for years. Most of you guys know that. And I didn't see schools working as well together before, but you guys are doing really great. It's amazing. So thank you for doing all of that.
You have anything else you wanted to?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. I won't read through all your accomplishments back to you, but I mean, it is an impressive list of things, and like this vending machine is like, that's so cool. I mean, to give them access to books and books that they're excited about, and building that home library. And I do appreciate the 100% goal at Clay. I do want to ask though, I mean, because that is a very lofty goal, and it's kind of it's a stretch, it's a ideal. But do you have also like a goal that maybe is more realistic that is in your mind too? Like,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes is the answer to that question. So that was our goal last year too. And upon reflection and upon talking to our leadership team, we realized that we need to make some more incremental goals that we can hit along the way. So the past 3 weeks, I think, we've been meeting with all of our grade level teams during their data team meetings, and we've been creating what we're calling celebration timelines. So manageable moments in our school year where we're going to step in, look at the data, and then have those critical conversations along the lines of like, who is seeing that growth and who isn't? And then what kind of instructional changes do we need to try to get them to that 100%? And we know that, you know, it's not just about 100%, it's also about the growth. And we want to make sure that we're really trying to push for that more than a year's worth of growth, because we do have students who are in third grade reading at a first grade level. But if we only catch them up 1 year, then they're only going to be at a second grade level. And so those gaps just get bigger and bigger. So yes, our goal is 100%, but we do have more manageable goals that we've created with teachers and with students in mind. And then we're going to take the time to celebrate them. We're going to celebrate the kids. We're going to celebrate the teachers and all their hard work. And yes, we have a timeline for that to help.
okay, good. That answers my question. And then beyond that, I just kind of wonder, like, and this is probably across the board kind of question, but what is the biggest change in what you're doing this year over last year? Like, because we're all trying to grow and change, and I appreciate that focus too on the year's growth. But I think it's the same for you guys too. It's like, what are you guys doing and to grow and change this year over last year in your own practices?
I think systemically throughout the building for instruction will really be the implementation of UFly. We just last year, if you can remember, we're working really hard on speaking that common language. When we had students that saw 3 different teachers throughout the day, and somebody called it a silent E, and another teacher called it a sneaky E and a magic E, and like they thought they were playing different games when really we wanted them to play the same game. So last year we were working on that common consistent vocabulary. And so then this year we're really implementing that with the resource. It allows our special education teachers, our reading interventionists, and our classroom teachers to have really supportive and collaborative conversations that are targeted to our students. So I think systemically, when we think about academics, that's probably our biggest one, and our biggest change this year is last year teachers were just kind of using what they knew, what they'd always done, whereas this year it's just really targeted and it's really systemic. So I think that's probably our big thing. If any of you are Ted Lasso fans, our theme this year is Believe. And so one of our other just big things is, again, just making sure that we have those relationships with kids, that if there is a behavior, that they still know how much we love them and believe in them, no matter what mistakes they make. We want to help them grow from them. So really it's just continuing to incorporate that culture and climate, not only with staff, but with students, all of us, just that we really truly believe in them, which is why we'll stick to our 100% because we do believe in our kids. So
I would just say at the junior high level, with everything being content specific with the classes, and just making sure that the students understand what they learn isn't in silos. So even though you learn writing and the specific rules and expectations in the ELA, you may be measured on that when you go to social studies, because the teachers understand what you're supposed to accomplish as a 7th grader and 8th grader. So that's some of the professional development we've been going through, as well as reading skills with vocabulary. So what our English teachers are saying, a PE teacher or a science teacher should be able to use that same vocabulary. So the kids are like, this isn't an ELA class. We're like, yeah, it is. Everywhere you go is. So I'd say across the content concepts, make sure teachers are on the same page.
I think for us against standard reference grading, I think we're just trying to get tighter with everything, you know, whether it's tighter with protocols, tighter with our communication, just clarity. What does proficient look like? You know, a lot of our teachers are working on, common scoring and collaborative grading practices, so that if Mike and I were the two teachers giving the same assessment, we would get the same feedback and score it the same way. So I think that's just what we're really trying to focus on, is just tighter protocols, more consistency, really guaranteed and viable curriculum stuff.
4 Mile, I think we would have two. One would be learning more about our English language learners. We had done a lot in the past, but this year with our numbers doubling. So we actually had kind of a really pretty PD plan all figured out for multiple months back in August. And then when our population changed really quickly and our staff needed support, I reached out to Joellen and I said, I need to go back and start over. So we redid the PD plan and worked in time to support our staff. So we have strategies and routines, and we can learn about the culture. The second pivot that I think we've made a lot this year is in the area of student behavior. And I'm talking more about the big behaviors. And so we're trying to give that support to staff, and we're trying to make positive adjustments for those restorative practices when we have those big behaviors. Amy Anderson Sorensen, our at-risk coordinator, gives us a ton of support and training in trauma-informed practices. And we're working very hard. We do that more at the grade level now as a team, because we did that as a large staff last year. And now we do that more specific based on what grade level teams need. But those are probably the two big things that we're focusing on and pivoting on.
Yeah, we really believe that when you're reflective, you're more likely to apply it. And so at the end of every week, on my week ahead, I have links to blogs, links to videos, quotes or excerpts from books. I think I have 4 books in my bag right now, but basically all it is I take something each week, I flip it to staff, and then they send me their reflections before Monday, so they can wear whatever they want to wear when they come to school on Monday. So, but we've created that process, and honestly, it makes aligning it up to the different things that we're teaching students and a lot of motivational stuff in there as well.
Add something. So to piggyback off of what Andrea said about the UFly, the fact that it's so systematic and it just really gives a common language. I think that it helps teachers calm their nerves if they're not really comfortable teaching, kids how to read. My background was not teaching kids to read. I taught 4th grade in my previous life, so kids typically knew how to read, and so I'm helping support these teachers that have a structure and common language now that the kids will see throughout. And even as an adult, I can see it and how explicit and how much it makes sense to me, even though I know how to read, obviously. But I saw myself going from a kindergarten room to a 1st grade room to a 2nd to a 3rd, and a kid asked a question and I was like, oh, I know the reason that is a CK versus just a K at the end of the word or whatever, or why words in the English language don't end in a V. And so it just gives everybody common language and makes them feel like I feel like I could actually teach kids how to read, because even though that wasn't my thing. And I feel like I can truly support the teachers at the younger level, really learn how to read, teach the kids how to read and why. And it makes sense.
I don't even know if I need to add after that. In the 3 years I've been here, we've been working for systematic, and UFly is one of those tools that allows us to be very systematic and put things in that straight way. But on the other side of that, we're now finding that teachers have more individual needs. Somebody grabs that UFly stuff and they can run with it immediately. They don't need to sit in a professional development for another 3-4 hours to do that same thing.
So we're trying to create that support. Like I said, when we shifted the focus of our leadership team to be more supportive and less just sounding boards, I think that reactivity to individual needs is helping us shift towards helping each teacher kind of extend where they're at.
That's good. Thank you all for being here tonight. Yes, really appreciate it.
Really quick follow-up question. Are 4 Mile and Mitchellville also using UFly?
We are not, sorry. We are starting to use it in our special education programs and in our reading support programs. We are on schedule to roll that out next year. And so we have staff members who've dabbled on it on their own, but we're really encouraging them to wait until we have that official training with Carrie, because we want to make sure that we're very consistent with our practices. We know it's awesome. It's based on the science of reading and Orton Gillingham and all the good literacy stuff, which we're doing a lot of those pieces, but not using that exact curriculum yet. It's coming next year.
It is a very explicit and structured program, and it does have high professional development to make sure it's implemented with fidelity. So we started with a few of our schools, we added a few more, and the goal is it will go to all of our elementary schools, but rolling it out to make sure that we have the professional learning that goes along with it so that teachers feel supported.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I can't even spell you fly. No, we're not using it. We did some of our structured literacy work a year ago. And so, yeah, I think it's just a few, if I remember right. Yeah.
It sounds like it's just a matter of.
Thank you for your input.
Well, I'm encouraged to hear that'll be across the board, because I know at Altoona Elementary, they spoke about that when we visited there. And yeah, just the results that are being achieved in the schools that have implemented it just sound amazing. So I can't wait for everybody to get their chance. So thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, I would like to wish Ashley Lamb, our student representative, a happy birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
And also make sure, if you're listening online, don't forget to vote Tuesday. The polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And if there's any other comments, thanks, Brett.
Do we have the second motions to adjourn?